Hello students, welcome to Saransh Biology. Today we will extend our discussion from chapter number 3. Up till now we have seen the structural organization of human reproductive system. Basically how male reproductive system is organized and how female reproductive system is organized. A very important topic that follows is formation of gamete, which is called as gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is very important process because it involves a very special type of cell division, which is meiosis, that results in formation of gametes with half the number of chromosome as well as variation, which leads to recombination. So let us try and understand how this process takes place. When we talk about gametogenesis, gametogenesis can be studied under two subheads: spermatogenesis or production of spermatozoa and oogenesis or production of ovum. Whether it's spermatogenesis or oogenesis, there are three subphases that we can look into: multiplicative phase, growth phase and differentiation phase. So these three subphases ensures production of gamete. There are certain amount of similarities as well as differences. When we talk about spermatogenesis, the site of spermatogenesis happens to be the testis. Testis is the primary reproductive organ in male, and in testis there are seminiferous tubule, the specialized tubule which is lined by specialized cells or germinal epithelial cells. So on looking at a closer section, what do you see here out? That within the connective tissue there are germinal epithelial cells and also intervening bigger Sertoli cells or nurse cells. These nurse cells or Sertoli cells are also very important to expedite the process of spermatogenesis, but the spermatogonial cells are the one that divides and carries out meiosis to form spermatozoa or sperm cell. Here you can see the structure of sperm. So as far as the definition is concerned, you can simply define spermatogenesis as the overall process of formation of spermatozoa from germinal epithelium. This is a section from your NCERT textbook, the seminiferous tubule, as you can look into. So many tubules are here, and tubule is lined by spermatogonial cells, see here out, and there are larger Sertoli cells also found. In the lumen you find certain sperms. In between the tubule there are some specialized cells that you call as interstitial cells or cells of Leydig. They are mainly endocrine in nature. They release androgens. So this is a finer section. You will have a look into it. Spermatogonial cells that produces primary spermatocyte by mitosis. Now this primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis to form secondary spermatocyte, which continues with the meiosis. Meiosis has got two phases, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 happens to be the reductional phase where the chromosome number is reduced to half, and meiosis 2 happens to be the equational phase where another cells are being formed from the meiotic 1 end product, and this results in formation of spermatid. So spermatid does not look like spermatozoa as we see. So there is a transformation of spermatozoa from spermatid, and there is a process called as spermiogenesis. So here lot of morphological transformation takes place. We shall also look into those mechanisms. On looking at the seminiferous tubule, the things comes obviously clear. So you can have a look at the flow diagram. Spermatogonal cells, they form primary spermatocyte which is diploid. Primary spermatocyte start meiosis, form secondary spermatocyte which is haploid. Secondary spermatocyte forms spermatid, again haploid, and spermatid undergoes transformation to form spermatozoa which is haploid. Overall process is called as spermatogenesis, but the conversion of spermatid into spermatozoa is called as spermiogenesis. Let us have a look at the flow chart, how the flow chart is arranged. Spermatogonial cells increases number by mitosis. They are diploid. So, as I have already mentioned, multiplicative phase. Some of the spermatogonial cells which are called as primary spermatocytes, they periodically undergo meiosis. So, they started growing. So, that enters into the growth phase. Then comes the division and the differentiation phase. After first meiotic division, two haploid and equal secondary spermatocytes are being formed, and these two secondary spermatocytes undergoes meiosis 2 to give rise to 4 haploid spermatids. Now, these 4 haploid spermatid undergoes a morphological change or spermiogenesis to form spermatozoa, and when these spermatozoa are embedded in the Sertoli cells and released from the seminiferous tubule, the process is called as spermiation. You can have a look here out. The process of spermatogenesis in male initiates at about pubertal age, the age of attaining sexual maturity that starts. So, you see here how differentiation starts. Spermatogonial cells, by mitosis it differentiates and forms lot of primary spermatocyte. Primary spermatocyte that grows, and then meiosis starts. These meiosis leads to the production of secondary spermatocyte as well as spermatid, and ultimately the differentiation phase leads to the formation of spermatozoa from the spermatid, and the process is called as spermiogenesis. So, the overall diagrammatic representation how spermatozoa is produced. Spermatogonial cells forming spermatocytes, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, spermatids and spermatozoa. Where does it take place? That also is depicted here out. Let us briefly talk about spermiogenesis. Now, when spermatids are being formed, they have got Golgi apparatus. These Golgi apparatus start forming originated structure that is known as acrosome. The nucleus started getting elongated. The centriole, both centriole comes at one point. The other centriole starts forming the basal body like structure, the core that forms the flagellum, excess cytoplasm is given off, and ultimately you get a structure of spermatozoa which is differentiated into head, middle piece and tail. So, this is spermiogenesis. So, whenever you are being asked differentiate between a spermiogenesis and spermatogenesis, you can have this in mind. Spermatogenesis is the overall process of production of spermatozoa from spermatogonial cells, whereas conversion of spermatids into spermatozoa is called as spermiogenesis. Let us have a look at the spermatozoa. How does it look like? It has three major parts, as we can look into: the head, the middle piece, in between there is a depression part called as neck, and the tail. Right? Head consists of haploid nucleus, cap-like acrosome. Acrosome contains special enzymes that results in the formation of hyaluronidase, which does the fertilization. the middle piece contains several mitochondria, and this is very, very important as far as mobility of sperm is concerned. They produce energy for motility of sperm, and tail obviously helps in swimming of the sperm. So, this diagram is also very important. You must practice it once or twice so that you get clear with the basic structural organization of sperm, and also should be able to give its function. Labeling is very, very important. Plasma membrane, acrosome, nuclear material, neck, middle piece, mitochondria, and the tail. Now, let us try and understand how this spermatogenesis is regulated. So, regulation of spermatogenesis, that is a very, very intricate process. It is combined effort of hypothalamus, pituitary, and testis that cause this regulation. Initially, you will find hypothalamus that releases GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone, and that GnRH acts on anterior pituitary. What does it do then? It causes release of two hormones, FSH and LH, right? So, you will find here out FSH and LH. LH will act on Leydig cells, FSH will act on Sertoli cells, right? So, these hormones are called as gonadotropins. Leydig cells, it in turn produces testosterone. Testosterone is very, very important. Why? Because it stimulates the process of spermatogenesis and also causes maintenance of secondary sexual characteristics. These Sertoli cells, they produce androgen binding protein. This protein concentrates the testosterone and carries out the process of spermatogenesis. So, Sertoli cells as well as Leydig cells both endeavor to promote spermatogenesis. But what if the concentration of testosterone or ABP increases? In that case, Sertoli cell produces another compound, inhibin, that suppresses the activity of anterior pituitary, and at the same time testosterone gives a negative feedback to anterior pituitary to stop producing gonadotropins. Also, it gives a feedback to hypothalamus to stop production of GnRH, thereby controlling the production of spermatozoa. This you can see through a simpler diagram. Hypothalamus producing GnRH, affecting anterior pituitary, it produces FSH and LH. LH acts on Leydig cells, produces testosterone, whereas FSH acts on Sertoli cells, which produces androgen binding protein and inhibin. This inhibin gives a feedback to anterior pituitary, whereas testosterone gives a feedback to anterior pituitary as well as hypothalamus. So, that is how spermatogenesis is regulated, and these Leydig cells or Sertoli cells, they are the part of testis. So, we have seen how regulation of spermatogenesis takes place. Now, we move to the next process, oogenesis, taking place in the female. Now, you should start noting down the difference. In case of spermatogenesis, the timing was from puberty, but oogenesis starts all the way from the fetal life. So, as far as definition is concerned, we can define oogenesis as the overall process of formation of ovum from the germinal epithelial cells. As you can see, the section of ovary, you can find the medullary region, the cortex. The follicles are being found in different stages: primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle, then corpus luteum, and corpus albicans. So, as far as oogenesis is concerned, let us have a brief look at the overall process. It starts in the fetal life, and there are a lot of cells which we call as primary oocytes or oogonial mother cells, which produces primary oocytes. Oogonial cells produces primary oocyte as a result of mitosis, and primary oocyte is normally arrested in the prophase 1 of the meiosis at the birth, childhood and puberty. So, at puberty, when the hormonal action is prominent, then the first meiotic division is completed prior to ovulation. So, at ovulation stage, secondary oocyte is produced, and when fertilization is about to begin, or it say at the start of fertilization event, the secondary oocyte is stimulated to produce ovum and second polar body. So, oogenesis, as I have said, it starts during embryonic growth, and millions of gamete mother cells are formed in fetal ovary. These cells periodically undergo meiosis, but they are arrested at the prophase and are called as primary oocytes. Before reaching puberty, a large number of primary oocytes degenerate, which we called as follicular atresia, and remaining ones get surrounded by layer of cells, granulosa cells and some other enveloping cells called as theca cells, and they form follicles. Initially the primary follicle, as the number of follicular cells increases, they are called as secondary follicle. The secondary follicle are converted into tertiary follicles. The difference being, in tertiary follicle you will find there is a fluid filled cavity appearing, which is called as antrum, and then it gets matured, and at that stage it is called as Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle ruptures under influence of LH and releases secondary oocyte, and second meiotic division completes at just at the time of fertilization, resulting in production of ovum and second polar body. So, as already discussed, you have got primordial follicle, primary follicle, secondary follicle, antral follicle and Graafian follicle. As far as the structure of ovum is concerned, at this stage it is the secondary oocyte after ovulation, which is covered by zona pellucida layer, and loose cells are also arranged outside this ZP, zona pellucida. They are called as cells of corona radiata. Now let us have a look at the regulation of oogenesis. Oogenesis is also regulated by hypothalamus, anterior pituitary and ovary. Hypothalamus releases GnRH or gonadotropin releasing hormone that acts on anterior pituitary, which produces LH luteinizing hormone and FSH or follicular stimulating hormone. LH and FSH. FSH acts on follicular cells and does follicular differentiation, whereas LH acts on corpus luteum. That means as soon as ovulation takes place, corpus luteum is present, and this corpus luteum has got endocrine function. It produces progesterone. Progesterone results in the implantation. So, when the amount of progesterone is increased, it gives a feedback to anterior pituitary and hypothalamus to stop production of GnRH and gonadotropins. The growing follicle causes increase in amount of estrogen. So, increased estrogen and increased LH together, that results in ovulation. These estrogen also gives a feedback to hypothalamus as well as anterior pituitary to check the secretion of GnRH and gonadotropins, thereby regulating the process of oogenesis. This comparative chart is very important, that describes the at difference of oogenesis and spermatogenesis. The time period, spermatogenesis starts at pubertal period, whereas oogenesis starts at the fetal period. Mitotic differentiation takes place in both the processes. The primary spermatocyte that divides to form secondary spermatocyte. These all things taking place at pubertal age, but in case of oogenesis, this is at a very early stage of fetal life. In fetal life, the primary oocyte gets arrested in prophase 1. These meiosis 1 gets completed prior to ovulation and results in formation of a first polar body, the unequal polar body, and the secondary oocyte, and secondary oocyte further forms ovum at the time of fertilization and second polar body. So as a result, you will find one beautiful calculation here out. If there are 50 ogonial cell, it will result in 50 ovum, but if there are 50 spermatogonial cell, it is capable of forming, and it does form 200 spermatozoa. So I have already explained multiplicative phase, growth phase, and differentiation phase. So whether it's spermatogenesis or oogenesis, both enjoys similarity in this term. Now have a look at some questions. Draw a sectional view of the human ovary showing the different stages of developing follicle, corpus luteum, ovulation. Draw a diagram of matured human ova. Very important question. Diagram of matured sperm and label 4 parts. Write the functions of any 2 part. Give a schematic representation of spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Indicate the chromosome number at each stage along with the period of age corresponding to the stage. So these questions are generally asked. I am very sure you should be very clear with the concept of spermatogenesis and oogenesis. In case of doubt, you can write back to us, maybe you can write in comments, or you can mail us so that your doubt will be clarified very soon. Till then, happy reading, take good care of yourself, and improvise on the understanding of biology. Bye-bye.
Students, keep ahead of your friend by subscribing the channel and hit the bell icon to get notified if there is a new video coming your way.